So, of course, depending on what you want to do, what your goals are, you can be good gi, no gi, sub only, la 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 la, or you can be specialized and try to be the best in the world at something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be amongst the best in certain rule sets, certain style, certain areas of the game.
Hey guys, I'm here with Oliver Taza. Oliver Taza, I guess you made your name in the submission-only grappling, and you've been doing jiu-jitsu for how many years now?
6 to 7.
6 to 7 years?
Yeah. I say 6 to 7 because it's always weird. I kind of forget myself when I started, because I started with MMA, and then I stopped, and then I came back to jiu-jitsu.
Right.
But then I had a bit of jiu-jitsu when I started the actual jiu-jitsu career, journey, so to speak.
But you went to ADCC in 2017.
Yes.
So at that point, you'd been doing jiu-jitsu for, what, 4 to 5 years?
5 years. 5 years.
Which is crazy.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
But
okay,
you're going to see more and more people like that. And we're seeing more and more people like that.
Okay, so why do you think that you got... Historically, it was 10 years to get your black belt, and then you might not be a world-class black belt, and so why do you think we're getting to people getting to ADCC, which is undoubtedly the highest level of no-gi grappling, in 5 years?
First of all, I think jiu-jitsu is a pretty small community. Like, I know somebody, he knows it, and then finally we end up, just how we linked up, how we ended up linking up, is just a small community.
Through Elliot Baev in Toronto.
Exactly. Yeah. Elliot Baev from Henzo, that's where we train. So it's pretty small. That's number one. Number two, there's the internet, and there's social media. There's so many ways for people to connect now, link up, affiliations, instructionals. So you'll see more and more people like that. Like one of my teammates, Nicky Rodriguez, silver medalist, and he's been training for barely a year and a half in jiu-jitsu. You're going to see more and more people like that.
So do you think it's the connections, or do you think an ability to train with people, or do you think it's the information? Like, here's how to do a Kani Basami from
information. There's good information, there's bad information. Picking the right information, that's good.
Yeah.
Now, if you have internet, you can kind of distinguish good, bad information.
Well, no, a lot of people have problems with that, because if we wanted to... If you and I went on the internet today...
All right.
We could pick 10,000 bad techniques, or techniques with huge details missing, couldn't we?
Good point. My recommendation, if you're trying to tell which one is good or bad, just see what's working at the highest level.
For sure.
Yeah. If you don't know what's working at the highest level, try it at the gym. You'll see for yourself.
Yeah.
Usually, you can kind of tell, this is effective, this is not effective, this works, this doesn't work.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about your journey. So you started in MMA. Was that at TriStar?
TriStar.
Okay.
TriStar. I remember I was playing football, soccer, and then it was a summer. And this summer, I wanted to switch to something else. So I thought I'd give it a little break. Because, in Canada, it's winter season. You can't play outdoors. So our outdoor season would be summertime. So, like, the off-season, it's when summer ends, so to speak. So that's why I want to try something new.
Especially in Montreal with 4 feet of snow. You come out in the mornings and your car is just...
Yeah. You try to kick the ball, it just, boom, disappears in the snow. Yeah, not going to happen. We play a lot indoors, though. Indoors was cool.
Okay.
Indoors.
So you showed up at TriStar.
Yep.
And you went there, I'm guessing, because of George St. Pierre?
Yep, exactly. George St. Pierre. George is pretty big in Montreal. Like, you'll go to, like, a sports store, and it'll be ads of him. And so, George St. Pierre looked athletic. Looked like, a nice guy. Heard of his fights. Never watched MMA before.
Really? You'd never watched MMA and you decided you wanted to train MMA?
I watched a bit. It didn't really appeal to me that much. I was really into soccer, big time.
Okay.
Which, I don't know, whatever. Now it's different. Now I look at it, I'm like, wow, how crazy am I? When I went to
Did you have really good kicks when you started MMA because of the soccer?
Kicks. Not technical, but just strong kicks.
Yeah.
No technique, just spazzing. What was I going to say? I didn't even know who Anderson Silva was.
Really?
I didn't know. Somebody was like, Anderson Silva's fighting. I'm like, who?
Okay.
So it was a little embarrassing at first. I didn't know anything.
Okay.
Yeah. But then slowly but surely.
So how long did you do MMA for?
I did it for about 3-4 months.
Okay.
I did it from September until about December.
Okay.
I did it. And then...
that was with Faraz or just for the
That was with Faraz. But then I slowed down a lot. And then I switched to boxing because... I remember I was switching from... So, in school, I was doing things related to finance and economics. Then when I went to university, I wanted to work I wanted to be physio or something to do with sports science. That's what I liked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was doing my prerequisites, and then the prerequisites were really intense, and I was not a good student. So I was like, either I fail and train, or I just get this done 1 year and then switch. So I ended up doing boxing until that was done. Then a year later, I started jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I didn't really know what I wanted to do after soccer. I was just trying to find something interesting.
So was it love at first sight, or was it frustrating for you? I mean, achievement is a couple of things. It's hard work.
Yeah.
It's the quality of instruction, but it's also talent.
Yeah, of course. There's a bit of talent involved. There's luck involved too.
For sure.
Luck. I was pretty lucky to run into a team like that, to run into instructors, to run into people from Henzo's coming down. So there's a luck involved too. Timing.
Not getting injured too.
Not getting injured. Getting injured. Getting injured
Sure.
sometimes can be a good thing. Not the best thing.
Yeah. You turn a negative into a positive?
Yeah, kind of.
Well, we'll totally get to your, because I know you blew out your ACL.
Yes.
But let's just talk about getting to, how on earth did you get to ADCC after like 5 years of training?
Well, I was lucky enough to run into Gordon Ryan. There was at the time Eddie Cummings and Gary Tolan. They would come very often to TriStar.
Okay.
Help out with the jiu-jitsu program, help out MMA fighters. So one day, I got to train with one of them, and I was like, wow, this is different level. Something I've never felt before. And I had gone to Marcelo's before meeting them. Like, I had gone and I trained in New York once, and I didn't even know they were there. Little did I know they were 4 blocks away from each other. It's literally a 5-minute walk between Marcelo's and Henzo's. And so I got really good friends with Gordon. He helped me out. He was super cool. He'd answer questions and help me out and take extra time. Then he invited me over, and then he introduced me to the team, and then slowly but surely, when you're...
So how much were you training? Like because this is a big question. How often should a person train in a week? How often should they train in a day? It seems like more and more the high-level guys are training a couple times a day.
Yeah, it's of course, the more you train, the more you think about it, the less distractions you have, the better it's going to be, obviously. The amount of volume and intensity, you have to play with it. Obviously, you have to listen to your body, see how you feel, what kind of food you're eating, and so forth. But it's the distractions, in my opinion. What hurts the most is the distractions.
Can you give me an example?
Distractions. There are many.
Women, children, jobs.
Women is good to have women also. Like it could also
focus you maybe.
Yeah, help you focus, give you motivation. It has both
double-edged sword.
Yeah, double-edged sword. Distractions. I mean, what kind of distractions you have? Like, plans that aren't really in line with training.
Okay.
Because think about it this way: if you're just doing one thing, you don't have to think about other things. Let's say you're sitting, and then one idea or one transition pops up in your mind. That's from having little amount of distraction.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you think of something. Sometimes you think of something, and then you'll come and you try it at the gym.
Right.
Just from thinking about it. Or like thinking about your role or trying to fix something in your training. It comes down to that sometimes.
Yeah.
I remember once John was saying, like, most of the improvement is mental work, not physical. Physical, obviously, does a massive difference. But a lot of it also, like, when you think about it, you're trying to adjust things. And
well, maybe that's part of the answer, because when people hear, so-and-so trains 3 times a day, they're like, they project it on themselves, and they go, man, if I trained 3 times a day, my body would fall apart after a day and a half.
True.
That's what now, obviously, we're dealing with people who are pretty athletic and have got to, can spend a fair bit of time on recovery as well. But they're also not necessarily going full. Well, were you going full force every time you trained?
I would go full force every day, but not every round.
Okay.
Not every round. So the way I'll do it is first round, I'll move around, flow around, warm up. Also John has to start first round and mount. So it's a good, in my opinion, it's a good way to start, because you're letting the guy work on his submissions, transitions, moving around, you're defending, you're working defense. So it's a good way to start rolling light. And then the next one is turtle. Same thing. You're Granby rolling, you're re-guarding, slowly picking up the pace. Third one is close guard. So you kind of know that there are certain rounds that are a little more intense than the others. So you can kind of pick a couple of rounds where you go hard, and then maybe the last one where you're going back to defense, you're going back to trying new things. And then
does it also depend who you're going against?
Exactly. And then depending on how far the competition is, okay, I'm going to pick guys who I'm not going to get injured with. If you're a little bit further, okay, you're rolling with the big, strong guy. You're playing with fire a bit, but you know, you gotta try to get as close as possible to what the competition is gonna be like, but not to the point where you're getting hurt.
So you've done obviously mostly no gi, a little bit of gi.
Mostly no gi. I did gi, white, blue, and then I did brown. I did a gear just gi. So I got some. I'd say it's like 70%, 30% gi no gi for me at this point.
Do you think we'll see guys with 5 years of training becoming a common phenomenon, ending up at, say, the Mondials with the gi, the World Jiu-Jitsu Championships?
No gi guys going to the gi?
No, just that kind of rapid advancement in the gi as opposed to no gi. Like, I'm wondering if there's something specific to no gi that where you can get better faster. Like maybe with the gi, there's more tricks.
I'm trying to think.
And there's more knowledge required. And I'm not saying there is. I'm just wondering if it is.
It could be. Now, if you look at jiu-jitsu in general, the majority of grapplers are doing gi. I would suppose, maybe because it's the more traditional style. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm just.
No, I think no gi's blowing up though. I used to think that gi was always going to be more popular, especially among women. I had this theory that like more layers of cloth between the two bodies would make them feel more comfortable. I think I'm wrong. I think women are like in no gi just as much as guys are.
Yeah, I think in terms of men, women, I think it tends to interest both as much. Now you see guys first year black belt winning worlds. There's one guy from Checkmat, Mateus Gabriel. He won worlds first year black belt. So you can get that rapid just burst on the scene. Canuto got his brown belt not long after he won no gi worlds black, but then he also faced Lepri in the finals.
Yeah.
So you can kind of get that rapid. There's also people are viewing jiu-jitsu a little bit more as like athletes, jiu-jitsu athletes.
Yeah.
So they're taking it more seriously, conditioning. You know, people are starting to know how to train better, how to train safer.
So let me ask you then, how do you train? Say you're designing a program, and of course it's got to be individualized. But on average, you've got some guy, 25 years old, fairly athletic, he's got a background, he's been doing jiu-jitsu for a couple of years, but now he's like, Oliver, I want to train full-time. I've already been training, 6 days a week. Now I want to go full-time. And like I said, it's got to be personalized, but what would their program generally look like? They got 7 days. How many times a day would they be training? How many days a week would they be training on average?
You should be getting at least a session of jiu-jitsu a day. At least.
Okay.
At least a jiu-jitsu session a day. And then I'd say at least three strength and conditioning sessions. Well, not necessarily strength and conditioning sessions. You need to be doing something after to, for your conditioning to be stronger, to be healthy, make sure your joints stay in place. You need to be adding these things. Then you can add other things like studying tape, watching matches. That helps a lot. And you see what the top guys are doing, gives you an idea, and you see the reactions they're giving each other. That's one thing I would highly recommend. Drilling, of course. Drilling is good. Drilling things the skill sets you want to develop when you want to get to the competition. You want to have a certain skill set.
Yeah, your A game.
Yeah, your A game. You know, depending on the rule set, these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses, got to work on this, on that. Walking into the gym, knowing what you want to work on, that helps a lot. Now, we're lucky we have a really good coach who does most of that for us. Obviously, we put in a lot of individual work and tweak and see what works for us, but you got to have like kind of a direction in where you're going when you're training.
Okay.
You can't just walk in, roll, sit around, and then leave. Get in, you drill, you know what you want to work on, you know what you want to get better at.
This one transition I'm going to hit a bunch of times today.
This is where I want to bring the guy. These are the options that I have. This is what I want to combine it with. And then you work on these. You have a certain amount of time. Let's say you start preparing 6 weeks ahead or 3 months. You have a certain time and you peak physically, technically, strategically, and then.
So how much wrestling were you doing in the lead up for ADCC?
To be honest, I was wrestling a lot coming up from guard.
Okay.
I was wrestling on the feet, but since I was post-op, I was about 1 year. I was still a little hesitant on wrestling every day and super hard. So I should have done a lot more wrestling on the feet, from the feet, like start on the ground, start on your feet and go. But I was wrestling a lot from guard, so coming up on singles, arm drags from bottom, things like that. Definitely, again, should have done a lot more wrestling.
So when no-gi submission guys wrestle, it means a couple different things. Like sometimes it means we're just going to start on our feet against other no-gi submission guys.
Yeah.
And sometimes it means, no, we're actually going to go train with wrestlers.
Yes.
And those are two very different things,
Yeah.
because the no-gi submission guys are, you know, they're not that upset about ending up on their ass playing guard.
Yeah.
But they're also going to be trying to go for guillotines and kimuras and stuff.
And you have the shoes too. Shoes that make a difference.
Yeah, sure, in wrestling.
Now, I think both are good. You know, I used to go to a wrestling club in Montreal. I didn't go that many times. I think total I probably went like 6 or 7 times. The pace was really good. Their speed, their transition, it's a different level. You know what I mean? For the high level.
The same wrestling club that George was training at?
Yeah. So
what do they think of all these submission guys coming in? Like, they're like, oh, good cannon fodder?
These guys with spats and like rubber duck rash guards and things like that.
You didn't have a singlet that you wore?
No singlet. Next time I'll go singlet. What do they think? I mean, some of these guys that come in, jiu-jitsu guys, sometimes they give wrestlers a hard time because they're so awkward. Like sometimes wrestlers will be fighting for an underhook or wizard. Jiu-jitsu guys are comfortable in these positions sometimes, just because, you know, they're used to rolling to the legs, or they're used to being in a dogfight or half guard. So similar upper body entanglements. So sometimes they do good. Some of them will get crushed. I was getting crushed when I first went there. But I definitely recommend, if you're wrestling, going to a wrestling club is definitely good. But also wrestling, jiu-jitsu, mixing them together is also really good, because you're having the shoes. You can throw on a guillotine, you can throw on a kimura, you can roll to omoplata, roll to the legs. So it keeps your reactions to these counters sharp.
Yeah, like sport specific.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to sprawl, depending on the time, depending on the technique, on the attack. Sometimes you can counter. So it gives you a good. It gets you in the habit of dealing with these much better.
Okay. Do you think, I mean, I've always thought that the odds of getting injured, like I think stand-up wrestling or judo or something is essential, but I think it's also, again, a double-edged sword, just like women.
Just like women.
That the odds of getting injured when you're on your feet and throwing are just go up dramatically.
Yeah. Body weight falling on your legs, for example, or on your hips. Yeah, that could definitely hurt.
Yeah. Did you ever get injured doing the wrestling?
Wrestling, no, to be honest. My injury was 100% preventable, by the way.
So that was a torn ACL?
Yeah.
And a year and a half ago?
A year and a couple of months ago.
Okay.
Just over 1 year post-op now.
Okay.
What happened? It was super slippery. I was going super hard. I did no conditioning. I never took like proper rest. Never took real care of my legs. Anyway, so the preventive aspect of the injury, 0. Now, going into the actual injury, I was standing. It was super slippery, and I was trying to turn away from something that I shouldn't turned out of. Just being a little too competitive in the gym, also. So those are two things.
So hang on, it was a stand-up wrestling situation?
No, I was standing. I was with my teammate who had a leg entanglement.
Right. Which one?
Single leg X,
right.
But not a standard single leg X. Single leg X with a triangle locked behind the secondary leg. So you're basically stuck.
Right.
So either you fall on your butt or you turn. I did neither one of them. So as I was trying to turn, slip, and then leg was extended, and that's when the ACL gave up.
So did you hear it?
I heard it. It didn't hurt.
Really?
It didn't hurt. It was a full tear.
Okay.
It didn't hurt me though.
Because you were warm and you were adrenalized?
Yeah, that's the thing. They say usually most injuries happen either at the end or at the very beginning. In between, you're fine apparently. So pay close attention to these two. Yeah.
When I started skiing, I had never skied at a very high level, but I was warned, like, okay, your first run and your last run are the most dangerous.
Are they?
Well, it makes sense, right? Your first run, you're cold, you're not warmed up, your timing's completely off. At the end of the day, you're like tired and you think you're...
Guards down a bit.
Yeah. So then
there you go.
When did you figure out that it was actually torn? When you cooled down?
Lucky we have a really good community in jiu-jitsu, man. When things like that happen, usually there's always some guy who knows somebody who, link up. In New York, we have Ouch Medical. Shout out to them. In Montreal, we have a really good doctor, Seb. in Saint Eustache. Shout out to him as well. He fixed us all up. He's an excellent surgeon. And then about a month later, after the tear.
So you after training, when did it start hurting?
Oh, when it started hurting, the day after.
Okay.
The day after.
You're like, something's not right here.
Yeah, I could walk.
Okay.
I could walk. I didn't have full range of motion, but the day after, so 2 days after, 3 days after, I was pretty much back to normal.
Really?
Yeah, no swelling, no bleeding. I had a full squat, deep squat. I could bring my heel to my butt.
So you were good?
Yeah, some athletes actually go their full career with no ACLs.
I think Rico Rodriguez fought in the UFC for years without no ACL.
Probably. One of my teammates in New York just found out he has no ACL, and it's been 8 years. Yeah.
Okay. So then, why did you go seek medical help if you're?
I seek medical because I asked my coach for us. Asked me, what do you think is better? Because I know George got it. George got the same surgery, and I have a bunch of teammates who got the ACL.
Right.
Done. And then if you're training competitive, intense, with leg locks, with wrestling, with slippery mats, it's good to get it done. It's time off, obviously, it's time out. But, you come back and it's good now.
How did it go? How did you feel going from training all the time to not training at all?
I had so much energy. So much energy. Yeah, it was... I had to find a way to...
What was it?
There wasn't much, man. So the thing is, at first, you can't do much. The first couple of weeks, you can't do much. You're in bed, really. You're moving around. You can move around with crutches and everything. It was starting to get cold in Montreal, so going out wasn't really something that I wanted to do.
No, you need crutches with ice picks on the bottom of them, not slip and fall and die.
Forget it. I started getting a lot into, like, man, what could I do? Watch tape, read books. I started to do, what's it called? Breakdowns, match breakdowns. So somebody would send me their match and I'd do a breakdown.
Okay.
I would do that. That'd take up a good part of my day.
Okay.
And then as time went, after 2-3 weeks, you can actually start training. You can actually get sessions in, and then that kind of calmed me down.
When you say training, you mean jiu-jitsu sessions or rehab?
No, rehab.
Okay.
Jiu-jitsu, I actually made a mistake. I started a little too early. Yeah.
Oh, no.
With ACL, I'm telling you, the most dangerous is around 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
That's when people get in a little too early.
Yeah, I've known guys who've torn it a second time. Like, they go through all that first surgery.
Yeah.
And then it was actually jiu-jitsu. And, like, I think you're right. 4 or 5 months, they got back and they tore it a second time.
Yeah. Thank God. I came close, man. I'm not going to lie to you.
No.
One time I was floor rolling with one of my teammates, and my knee just went from one side to the other real quickly. I was like, what the hell just happened? So obviously, it's, the leg is not used to... The graft itself is still not 100% healed. Now it is.
Yeah.
It is. But you think you're strong because your legs are well conditioned and everything, but you're not ready yet for rotational stuff. And switching directions and things like that.
Okay.
So
then how did you... I mean, you didn't have that long between then and ADCC.
It was right after around 9 month, 10 month post-op, I went back to Henzo's. The first weeks were terrible. I was getting crushed by everybody. I was getting beat up. I was like, what am I doing preparing for this comp?
Was it conditioning or timing that was missing?
Conditioning was good. My conditioning was good. His timing I wasn't as sharp. My game is hesitating also. Some things I didn't want to go to.
Sure.
Didn't want to play with, especially with leg entanglements.
Yeah.
So at first it wasn't the best, but it helped me develop other aspects of my game.
For example?
If I'm not attacking the legs, I'm attacking the head, for example, or the arms, or other things. I'm trying to avoid people entering the legs from bottom, for example.
So you said earlier, sometimes injury can be a good thing. What do you mean by that?
I mean, again, you remember I was telling you...
Not that it's the best thing, but...
It's not the best thing, but if I'm training, I'm thinking about training.
Right.
If I'm not training, I'm thinking about something else. So I was thinking about how can I make jiu-jitsu a sustainable way of living without having to rely on my body, and starting to figure it out. Started to get involved more in the jiu-jitsu community in Montreal, and that's slowly spreading to Canada now.
Right.
Thankfully, this is one of the very good
here in
benefits.
Vancouver right now.
Vancouver and Vangoovie.
Vangroovie.
Vangroovie.
With the poor choice to come here once the rainy season has started. It's just a monsoon outside now.
It was great, man. It was great. The first couple of days we went to a river. I forget the name. Lynn River, I think.
Yeah, Lynn Canyon.
Lynn Canyon?
Yeah.
Yeah, they would jump in the water. It's the best thing, man. Really good. Weekend, I don't know.
Do you do ice baths?
Yeah, we jumped in.
No, okay, you jumped in the icy river, but do you do ice baths normally, or is this just
Not regularly. Not regularly. So when I had the chance, I was jump right in. It's the best thing. Really, really nice. Really nice.
You feel alive afterwards?
Yeah, in nature, you got cold water, salmon, really good. I love it. It's nice. Nature-wise here, I think it's way nicer than anywhere else.
Yeah.
We're in New York, the city, that's for sure.
Yeah. It's funny, like, I've been to New York, and, like, Central Park's obviously a big part of New York, and thank God it's there.
Yeah.
But really, after being spoiled here on the West Coast, it's like, I'm glad you guys have Central Park, but it's really nothing. And it's better than just straight buildings, I'll grant you that. But it's really just a big lawn. Exactly.
That's the thing, and when you enter Central Park, let's say you're entering it from, like, the very south, like the Columbus Circle at 59th, that's where it starts. For like good 20 blocks, it's just touristy stuff like arcades and things like that. You have to go even higher to get to the park, the actual park with the lawn and all that. But it's nice, it's whatever.
You know, it's funny, I just talking here remembered a story my mother told me about her mother. So my grandmother was in New York in the 20s and 30s.
Yep.
One night she was going to a party and left her apartment and crossed Central Park. 6 o'clock in the evening, went to the party. Left the party at about 9 o'clock, walked back across Central Park, realized she'd left her purse at the party, walked back across Central Park at 10 o'clock at night.
That's great.
Walked back across Central Park at 11. And apparently in those days, it was no big deal. Like or she was really naive. I don't know which.
That's insane.
But yeah,
that's insane.
Walking in Central Park by herself.
You gotta do it, man. It's nice. I like it. Pros and cons to the big city, obviously. But if I had to choose somewhere to settle in the future, somewhere where I can relax, definitely be somewhere a little quieter than Manhattan.
Yeah. So right now you're splitting your time between Montreal and New York?
I wouldn't say splitting. I'd stop by Montreal. I'll catch up on things. Family's there, home is there. Music studio. I have partners there. A really cool guy. Try to give a hand, see what I can do to help, how I can be useful, and then.
Wait, where's your apartment?
I don't have an apartment.
Really?
No. Like, an apartment where I was staying, like, for example, for ADCC, I got a short-term lease.
Okay.
I'll get a short-term lease, but now it's up, so there's no actual apartment.
Okay.
Now I'm just bumming it out.
Sure.
Crashing here, crashing there for a couple of weeks, and then when I go back to New York, I'll get another short-term lease or stay with Nikki in New Jersey or places like that. Figure it out.
Yeah.
Until it's time for me to actually settle one place, I don't think I'll get like an actual apartment or a place to stay, just so I can have that freedom to move around.
Yeah, well, that's one advantage of mostly trading no key. You don't have a bunch of big keys to carry around.
You
couple of rash guards.
Exactly, rash guards. You put them in a Ziploc. You put it in. You're good to go, man. That's it.
So, in terms of getting ready for ADCC with the bum knee or the knee that was just newly recovering.
Yeah.
How do you think that the preparation ended up going?
Good. I worked on what I could work on. You know what I mean? I tried not to use that or think about it as somebody would say, "Oh, how's the knee?" They ask me how's the knee. I tell them which one. In my head, it was like they're both good. They're both tip top. I could work on it. It's more of a mental thing at this point with the knee. It's more of a mental thing. Sometimes, like somebody would tag this leg, I'd be like, "Oh, like Lego," but then I'd defend it against other people. I'd be like, "Oh, I'm fine." It's just really more of a mental barriers you gotta cross. Yeah.
So if you could go back in time and get ready for this ADCC again, what would you do different?
What I would do differently, I'd definitely spend more time on the feet. More time on the feet. Another thing that I would have done is I would have done maybe sprints once a week, a bit more, just to condition the legs, get them strong. I'm not saying everybody should do it. I'm saying for me, at the point of rehab where I was, I could have strengthened them a tiny bit more.
Okay.
That. And then also we have really good wrestling back home as well in Montreal. Kia, Olympic silver medalist, teaches at TriStar. He's gold, man. Working with him, we have some good judo guys. So maybe mixing it up a bit more between Henzes and Montreal would have been good.
I mean, ADCC is so it's a weird rule set.
Yeah, and I love it.
Really?
I love it.
Why do you like it?
I like it because you get 5 minutes to feel the guy out. Like my match, if you watch my match, first 2 minutes I get my back taken. Right? I try this naive inversion. The guy takes my back. I escape. with 30 seconds before the points start. All good.
Yeah.
Obviously, if it were to go to decision, they would see that and be like, oh, he took his back. You know, they'll take that into consideration, but it's not that, you don't get punished that much. Then you have 5 minutes where you can't pull guard, so you got to wrestle. You know, you got to find a strategic way. You got to at least shoot, because if you shoot on both knees, you can pull after 3 seconds.
Right.
So I like the rule set. It's nice and exciting, man. It's good. And then the overtime. See, overtime, 2 minutes into overtime, I was really tired. Really, really tired. The conditioning, or maybe the nerves from not competing for a while. It was a mix of both. Then you get tired, you know, your decision making gets sloppy, and then you start doing things half-assed.
What was your first competition like? So we'll jump way back in time here.
Way back, yeah. It was good. It was a Grappling Industries in Montreal, Brébeuf. It's like a school not too far from my house. It was good, man. I did the beginner, Nogi division. I think I came second. It was great, man. Loved it. But you know, first time, obviously, I was like, why am I doing this to myself?
Nervous.
I'm gonna leave right now before they call me. You hear your name on the microphone the first time, you're like, oh, this doesn't sound good. Then you get used to it, man. You get used to it, and then you find things you like about it and things you don't like about it.
How long did it take you to get used to it?
How long did it take to get used to it?
Because I think a lot of people, and certainly I did this when I started competing, and there were just less competitions when I started competing. There'd be a competition every 6 months.
Yeah.
So you'd do it, you'd be nervous as hell, you'd succeed or fail. And then any benefit from that would be long gone by the time the next competition. You'd have to go through it all again. And the 1 year I got it under control, I was competing fairly regularly in a couple of different sports. And then it got a little bit into just another day at the office. Now, I never competed at high level like you do.
Okay.
But still, the frequency of competing was really important.
You get used to it. Since I did MMA, and then when I went back and I competed...
you fought MMA?
I did not.
Okay.
But when I was doing MMA, Firas saw me, and then he kind of knew who I was. So when I came back and I won my competition, he gave me my blue belt.
Okay.
So then at blue belt, I started getting used to it. We had competitions every month, every other month. And I'd go a lot to Toronto. Toronto, there were a lot of competitions.
Okay.
Ottawa, we had a really good scene, man, until that one thing happened in Montreal, where we're not allowed to have competitions. I don't know.
What is the story there?
It's the worst, because how did Ethan and I start? We started doing local competitions. Not just Ethan and I, a lot of other guys were competing. A lot of beginners were starting, and probably we'd have a lot more better guys on the international scene at the highest level if we had comps. Because it gives people with little experience the confidence, and it gets them used, and it's low cost. That now, I don't know what it is, man. 2 guys, I don't know who, got in an altercation, and then some weird law written the wrong way makes it that, because I think it's not like a government sport, some really silly thing. Really, really silly.
Did it get lumped in as MMA? Or is it just...
I think
or
so.
Because it's not judo, it's not allowed.
Not judo or wrestling, or I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure, but honestly, if this podcast could help give us some kind of push to sort that out, that'd be great.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I remember the battle for the legalization of MMA, and you can almost understand the other people from an uneducated point of view going, oh my God, MMA, it's a blood sport.
Yeah,
I'm not saying they're right,
Yeah.
but I'm saying you understand.
Yeah.
But outlawing jiu-jitsu? Like, come on.
Jiu-jitsu with kids, and it's something that's happening in the day. You know, people wake up early, and, you know, they come with their families, and it's like, how can that not be legal?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Especially judo is legal. Judo has joint locks and chokes.
Yeah.
Wrestling's legal, and wrestling's got takedowns and stuff.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Hopefully it gets sorted, because that will make a big change, man. Honestly, for me, it'll be easier for me to get things going. If I want to get, bring a big competition to Canada, bring it in Montreal, it's home, it's cheaper for me. You know, if I got to bring competitors, I know where they can stay, things like that. Just save up on little expenses, but it's hard. You know, now I'm trying to do that, for example, in BC. I'm trying to do it in Toronto, see what we can do. But I think it kind of slows down the progression and the spread of the sport. You know what I mean?
It's insane.
Ultimately, I think the more set of eyes we can bring to the sport, the better it will be for the sport. You know what I mean?
Well, that was Fabio Gergel's point, is even for a school, the schools that have got the most champions at the top generally have got the most students at the bottom.
Yes.
Exactly. I mean, there are a few exceptions I can think of where it's just a bunch of really hardcore guys training together, but most of the time, it's a pyramid, right?
Exactly.
Lots of recreational people.
100%. Think about it like this. One guy who can make a living out of jiu-jitsu is definitely going to put more time into it, trying to spread the sport, than somebody who, whatever, I'm not good enough, do something else.
Yeah.
So I think it could definitely help this sport grow, like you say, like, one good guy will bring other good guys, who will bring other good guys, and then it keeps going. Then you end up in little towns with jiu-jitsu, for example.
Yeah. So in the last 5 years, I'd say in the no-gi scene, obviously leg locks have become huge.
Mm-hmm.
But I think also kind of more of a wrestling, like, becoming conversant with things like front headlocks and so on, and combining the stand-up and the ground.
Yeah.
What else is going on, and what do you think, if you had to guess, if you had a crystal ball, what do you guess is going to happen in the next few years? Yes.
I think, I was talking with my friend last night, we were watching a match and there was body locks.
Okay.
To be more specific,
on the feet or on the ground?
On the ground. So it was ADCC. It was Taza versus Dante Leon. It was the first round match. Really good technical match. Didn't have a lot of hype behind it because two guys were pretty quiet. But it's a really nice match to watch. If anybody's looking to watch a technical match, that's a good one. And then he was asking me, what, like body lock, half guard passing is the thing now? It's new. It's not new. It's just now with the style that came up, something to counter it is body lock, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So the techniques aren't necessarily new. Like leg locks aren't new. They existed before. It's just they're done better.
Right.
And now people have to find an answer to shut that down. And they'll use, for example, body lock passing to pin the hips and stop somebody from, elevating you.
Mm-hmm.
So if I had to guess, I think we're seeing a lot of back take counters. So leg locks.
Counters?
Yeah. Like, say somebody, you tag the leg, they take the back.
Okay.
A lot of that. A lot of taking the back, ending up in a body lock, ending up in side control. A lot of body locking, I would say.
Okay.
Very, very.
That's a cool prediction. It'd be interesting to meet up again in a couple of years and have after the next Abu Dhabi and see if you were right.
And then people are going to deal better with the body lock, and then something's going to come up. We saw, for example, the match that I gave the example. Omoplatas to the legs. So you'll find a way around it. For example, Dante was countering with an omoplata, and then he's going to the legs, and then the legs to the back, and he keeps going.
Mm-hmm.
That's the beauty of the sport. I think techniques are like kind of like
cyclical.
Cycling, yeah.
And then, or cyclical.
And then when they come back, they're done better.
Yeah.
And then we got to think of something, and then it comes back better. And it's good. The sport grows.
So when we talk about things being done better, let's take something like leg locks, because leg locks have been done for 100 years at least. I mean, there's pictures of Helio Gracie doing a standing ankle lock.
Deadly. Devastating.
Well, it probably wouldn't work that way. I mean, it also looks photogenic.
It's good. It gave people the idea of, look, this is something we can maybe do from here. We can do from there. We can fix. We can make it tighter. Mechanics can be tighter. Transitions can be better.
Maybe that'll be the next big thing in Abu Dhabi. Standing leg locks. Against somebody on their back.
You never know.
With no control over the body at all.
Zero. Something you're doing.
Boston crab only.
Yeah. So it's good. They'll come back tighter. For example, leg locks, you'll have better wedging around the leg. You'll have better control over the hip. You'll have better mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
If he turns one way, you can take the back. You can pass. You can let go. Maybe come up on top. So people will problem solve and will come up with solutions.
So, because you competed a lot, if I'm correct, in submission only tournaments.
Submission only was, and I did a lot of trials too, man. I did 4 trials and I won the 4th one. That's how I got into ADCC.
The Abu Dhabi trial.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's persistence. So which ones did you go to?
2 Europeans, 2 North American.
Okay.
Yeah. 1 of them I lost to AJ in the semis by reversal. I lost to Munch in the finals. And then the very first trials I lost in the quarters, I believe, to the trials winner. The last one I won. Man, what a relief.
Yeah.
And you know what, man? The more you lose, the one win, it tastes even better when you get it. Yeah, it was good.
Was it getting used to that rule system as well, or just...
The rule set, yeah. The thing about ADCC is I'm always learning something new about the rules. So you gotta watch the matches and get to know the rules, because they're a little tricky sometimes if you don't know them.
Yeah. So then what's your standard strategy in just submission only? No points. At the end of the 5 minutes, whoever's submitting, you either get you get points if you submit the guy.
The good thing about the 5 minutes also is you get to feel out your opponent. You can stand up a bit
in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, Abu Dhabi. Yeah. You can stand up a bit, get to feel his stand up, get to feel how heavy he is on the head.
Just can't pull guard.
First 5 minutes you can. First 5 minutes you can pull guard.
Okay.
So if you want to pull guard after, see how your guard goes. If he pulls guard, you can see how your top goes.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the 5 minutes come up, oh, this guy has a good guard. Let me pull.
Okay.
We're both playing double guard. No. See, maybe he comes up first. And so you have the 5 minutes to feel the guy out. I personally go up 5 minutes. I try to submit the guy in the first 5 minutes.
Right.
Try to get that. I try to at least get him to back up and get the judges to see, oh, this guy doesn't want to engage.
Mm.
Luckily, I had somebody wanted to engage with me, so that makes it not easier, but it makes it nicer. I enjoy more somebody competing against somebody who's trying to submit me and engage with me.
One of all the people listening to this, most of them aren't going to compete in ADCC, but they might well compete in submission only.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to people who want to do submission only? Like, I mean, that's a big question, isn't it? Depends on what they're good at.
Yeah, one advice would be, obviously, the techniques, everybody knows them. I would recommend find a way to link them up together.
Okay.
Definitely find.
We just shot a couple of YouTube videos that show how
Exactly.
to link that. Put that on the YouTube channel
How
for
to
sure.
look up some things, come in one place where you get stuck.
So you don't have like a leg lock and a guillotine.
That's also an advice for submission only. It applies to gi, no gi. Also, if I had to give an advice, is don't get stuck on one technique, because chances are, if they're really going to defend that one technique, something else is going to come up. Try to find ways to that other one.
Yeah.
That'd be an advice.
So how specialized? Well, how do you distinguish between being a generalist, being sort of good at everything, and being a specialist, going really deep in one area?
Deep in one area versus being generalist.
I mean, you've gone deep in the leg locks, obviously.
Yeah.
Like that's a deep aspect of your game.
So think about it this way: like from my position for the sport in general, for jiu-jitsu in general, it's better when people generalize sometimes. I mean, get specific. Sorry, because I'm getting specific. I'm figuring things out. Then everybody's gonna know them.
Right.
Right. Where if we're all generalists, nobody's gonna get deep into anything.
Where somebody else is going super deep on the Kimura and learns every little detail of the Kimura. And,
that's exactly it. Yeah.
And then
certain people have to get specialized to help the general level of the game rise up, right?
Okay.
So of course, depending on what you want to do, what your goals are, you can be good gi, no gi, sub only, la 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 la, or you can be specialized and try to be the best in the world at something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be amongst the best in certain rule sets, certain style, certain areas of the game.
So which rule sets are you trying to be the best in? Obviously Abu Dhabi.
No gi.
Okay.
In my case, obviously ADCC would be my top priority, and then submission only also will come second, definitely.
That year that you spent doing gi only, or focusing, did you only gi in that 1 year?
There was one year I did mostly gi. It was not even a year. It was from January until July. I had a match against Lachlan on Polaris. It was 2018. That was the only no-gi comp I did last year. Then before that, from January till July, I believe, all gi.
So why did you go that year of gi training?
I remember telling John, hey man, I don't want my black belt after winning no-gi worlds. I want to do it in the gi first.
Mm.
So he was like, okay, Oliver Taza, very good. And then I tried to do it in the gi.
Mm-hmm.
Had good success in certain competitions, certain other competitions not so much, but the experience was really good. Yeah.
What was the transition going from no-gi to gi?
Yeah, it was the one thing most people, the advice that I would get from most high-level guys is the grips, the pulling grips. I just wasn't used to having these pulling grips from guard. You know what I mean? Certain grips you just cannot give in the gi from bottom, like a collar. Like somebody has your collar from bottom, you can't move anymore.
Yeah.
It's hard, or the pants.
Yeah.
So the pulling grips is something that I had to work a lot on. And then developing a kind of a different game. Some people have similar game. I was developing a different game.
Yeah.
So my game in no-gi was a lot of single leg X, a lot of inversions, kanis.
Mm-hmm.
In the gi, it was a lot more like sit-up guard with the lapel between the legs.
Really?
Yeah. It just...
It's almost like Kenyon Cornelius has two different games, gi and no-gi.
And I remember training, and Philippe was saying the same thing. He was like, I have two different games. Philippe Pena. He was telling me, I have two different games, gi and no-gi. So
man, that's tough. As if getting one game good isn't hard enough.
I mean. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's the volume of training, the amount of time you put in. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I was developing a game. It was good. Then I got a good opportunity to compete against Lachlan, who did really good in ADCC. By the way,
pretty stellar.
Pretty stellar indeed. But then I got injured after, so I didn't. When I got back, I was like, "There's ADCC. I'm gonna go back and no-gi."
Yeah.
And as of now, I'm focusing as much as possible on it.
Do you think that your no-gi would be better if you'd stayed doing no-gi that year, if you'd not?
Definitely, 100%.
Yeah.
100%, yes.
Because a lot of people, they're, it'll make your gi game better, your doing gi will make your no-gi better. I guess it's better than not training at all.
Definitely better than not training. It definitely made some parts of my game better, like pressure, top pressure, certain things like being on top, not giving up position. Those are things, there were weaknesses in mine. I got to get better at, for sure, but you can definitely work on that in no-gi, by doing no-gi.
It's a trade-off for sure.
It's a trade-off. There are pros and cons, definitely. But
so if people want to train with you, how do they get a hold of you? Like if they're in New York or if they're in Montreal?
If you're in Montreal, there are 2 gyms you can find me at. There's Mizu Studio, and then there's TriStar Gym. Otherwise, if you want to get in touch with me, link up, train, level up. Taza Garami on Instagram. Taza Garami. And otherwise, there's Messenger, Facebook Messenger. I try to get back to people as quickly as possible.
Okay. So you're doing a fair amount of seminars these days and traveling.
Yeah, traveling and seminars, mostly in Canada though. I'm trying to stick to Canada as much as possible. So anybody who's in Canada who wants to train, link up, bring me over for a weekend, a couple of days to train, I'd be more than happy to do so.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it's been fascinating to watch your meteoric rise in competition. I really hope that it keeps on going well for you.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what you're up to next.
I can't wait. 2 years from now, I'm going to be representing big time ADCC again with a podium performance for sure.
Awesome. Good luck, man.
Thank you very much. We're going to be doing leg locks today. So outside heel hook, inside heel hook. We're going to be focusing a lot on single leg X, saddle, and mainly transitioning between one and the other. Being able to finish properly, having good understanding of what's good and what's bad about certain positions, and ideas on how you can improve faster.